The title of this podcast is Be with People. One of the things that I have made it a real priority to do is when I am doing something, which mostly involves doing something with people or crossing paths with them or some kind of interaction. It may be fleeting or it may be something that occurs over a number of hours. In any case, I'm trying to remind myself to see the humanity in the other person. I mentioned before when I do communications with at work or otherwise, that I begin the communication with hello, how are you? I hope you're well. Not only is it to let the other person know that I'm interested in how they're doing, but it's also for me to slow down so that I see the humanity in the other person or the party that I'm communicating with. Yesterday, I had an opportunity, not yesterday, but earlier in the week, I had an opportunity to really practice this. A few months ago at Mayo Clinic, we had a patient come in who had a really complex and critical issue regarding their health. And what we had them do, they came on the other side and they were doing so much better. And we wanted to honor them and celebrate them. And we also wanted our staff to have an opportunity to hear from them, because they want to express their gratitude, to hear from them. So, because we have so many people outside of the physician and maybe the nurse, who often don't get an opportunity to hear a patient's gratitude, they don't get that direct connection to the work that they do or that incredible positive feedback for a job well done and really caring for someone. And in this case, the patient and his wife came in. We had all four physicians who participated in their care, and we had an additional member, which was the laboratory medicine, were there too because they played a critical role, laboratory medicine and pathology, with helping diagnose what the health concern was. And the patient expressed much gratitude over the hour that we were together. Fast forward a month later, I'm walking out of a meeting and I happen to walk down and I see the patient standing there. And I just walked up to him, he and his wife, and told him how much they meant to me as well as other members of the team and how inspiring their story was. And the patient went on to tell me that, first of all, they thanked me and everything and for sharing and stopping. And I just said, no, the thanks go to you all. I mean, I am still riding high on the sentiments that they shared. And then the gentleman who was the person who was cared for shared how he was back there today because, he was having some trouble and they were going to see him again to do further tests, and they found something. And he thought he was on the other side of it. And he started to cry. And we embraced and we hugged each other. And I hugged his wife. And I barely met them the last time they were there a month earlier. And what it made me really reflect upon afterwards was my incredible gratitude for them trusting everyone at Mayo Clinic, for the being present to the love and support and connection between the husband and the wife resonated with me deeply. And then lastly, what also stood out was my ability, not my ability, my continued practice to be in the present moment so that I can be a human being for another human being in that moment. And just stood there. And when I told one of my friends about this later, I shared with like, man, you won't believe what happened. I ran into this patient. I didn't disclose any kind of care information or anything like that, but just told them, the broad strokes of what happened. They acknowledged me for not just saying something like, "Hey, I remember that person," and keeping and continuing on with my day, but to stop and connect with them and share about how much their visit meant to me and others. And then to take the time to, no matter where I was going, to stop and be there for them in a moment in which, they needed or they could benefit from some comfort. So I ask all of us to just be there for people.